Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face while you're sleeping.
Mystery doesn't always mean murder. From strange creatures to mysterious visitors and tales of reincarnation, there's just something out there for everybody. There's just something special about an unsolved mystery though, isn't there? Sure, it's great when you eventually find out why something happened the way it did, but man, the idea of an event taking place without an immediate plausible explanation just sends those debating skills into overdrive and makes the conspiracy theories pile up. Anyway, without further ado, here are the 10 creepiest unsolved mysteries of the last century. Let's go! Number 10. The Mystery Mummy. Back in 2000, Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan battled for ownership of what they believed to be a mummified remains of a 2,600-year-old Persian princess. The mummy was found by police during a raid of a Balochistan chieftain home in Quran, Pakistan, and was to be sold on the black market for millions. When she was discovered, the mummy's head was adorned with a gold crown, and there were gold ornaments in her coffin, which truly made it seem like that was an archaeological wonder to have been found. However, not everyone was convinced that the mummy was the real deal. Professor Amandani, director of the Institute of Asian Civilization in Islamabad, claimed to have known from the beginning that the mummy was not all it was cracked up to be. And he was not wrong. It was soon discovered, after a detailed study of the remains, that the body was not 2,600 years old and not a Persian princess. It was revealed that the coffin she rested in was not as old as her remains and was believed to be, and then the mat she was laid on was possibly just a mere 5 years old. The Persian mummy was now believed to be the body of a 21-year-old female murder victim, her neck, jaw, and back broken. Finally, it was confirmed, with the help of radiocarbon testing, that the victim had died in 1996. The mummy was buried in 2005, without the victim ever being identified.
Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that will take just 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell and you get 25 years of amazing logic. Try it. It really works.
Number 9. The Presence. On the 20th of May 1916, 3 weary figures stumbled upon a whaling station on the north coast of South Georgia. Ernest Shackleton, Frank Worsley, and Tom Crean had walked for 1 day and a half, non-stop, to find help to rescue their crew who was stuck on the other side of an island known as Elephant Island. The journey was treacherous, and they had to cross mountainous regions with only a rope and axe as aid. Their bravery was rewarded when they eventually found help at Stormness, and all the stranded men were rescued. Only several weeks after the accident did the 3 men realize they all had the same weird experience in common. All of them felt a strange presence during their journey, almost as though another person had joined their rescued efforts. All 3 men recounted how they felt this presence walking along them right up until they reached Stormness, whereafter it disappeared. Shackleton in particular was very rattled by the experience and did not like speaking of it. Many theories have been presented for what the 3 men encountered, such as shared hallucination, neurological disorders, and side effects of high doses of prescribed medicine. However, just what happened while they were on their trip, and who or what accompanied them along the way, remains a mystery. Number 8. Skull Helmets. Archaeologists excavating burials at Salongo in Ecuador between 2014 and 2016 made a puzzling discovery that has yet to have an explanation for. Among the burials were the remains of 2 infants sporting helmets made from children's skulls. It was found that the skulls were likely placed over the infant's head while there was still flesh on them, with one of them having their face pointing through the cranial vaults, while there was also a small bone lodged between the infant's head and the skull covering it. Archaeologists have no explanation for the skull coverings the heads of the infants, although one theory suggests that it may have been for protection according to an ancient ritual. While it is not known what led to the deaths of the infants and the children, their bones reflected malnourishment, and this is thought to have been caused by a volcanic eruption in the area that may have led to a food shortage. These findings only have been very recently been published, and more evidence is needed for any theories to really be proven as correct. Number 7. Blood-Stained Crypt. Nina Craig Miles was born to Maria Adelia Thompson Craig Miles and John Henderson Craig Miles on August 5, 1864. As she grew, Nina learned to love riding a horse-drawn buggy. During one such outing with her grandfather on St. Luke's Day in 1871, the buggy they were riding in was hit full-on by an oncoming train, and they were crossing the railroad tracks. 7-year-old Nina was killed on impact. While her family grieved, Nina's father changed his will to include a clause that stated he wished to be buried inside a mausoleum where Nina's ashes rested. John Craig Miles also ensured that an Episcopal church was built in Nina's memory, which included the marble mausoleum in the churchyard, which Nina's ashes was kept in. The church was named St. Luke's Memorial Episcopal Church and was consecrated in 1872. John died in 1899 and was buried as requested inside Nina's mausoleum. Sometime later, red stains started appearing on the outside of the mausoleum. Efforts to clean the stains failed, and when the marble's blocks were replaced, the stains simply reappeared. In modern times, sightings have been reported of a little ghost girl in 1800s clothing, playing outside the mausoleum. The red stains, whom many believe to be blood, are still visible on the Craig Miles Mausoleum in Cleveland, and tourists love relating the story. However, the cause of the stains remain a mystery. Number 6. Wailing House. Alan and Christine Tate loved their Ammanford house in Wales right up until June 2018. Christine was making coffee late one night when she became aware of a strange noise emanating from the house. She called her husband, and they both tried to establish where the noises were coming from. They heard flushing noises, running machines, a motorcycle, and disembodied screams. Eventually, they realized the sounds were coming from the basement located underneath the kitchen. Alan dug into the walls and inserted recorders, trying to find out what could be causing the noises. The equipment recorded police sirens, a female screaming, barking dogs, and a car horn. Christine is in the belief that there are people living down in the basement, and that the sounds may be linked to human trafficking or even drug labs. However, police have not found any evidence of this, and in the meantime, Christine and Alan are too scared to return to their home and are traveling to the UK trying to find someone who can help them solve the mystery. Number 5. Krishna's Butterball. On a 45-degree slope in Mahalabhapuram, India, rests a huge boulder weighing over 250 tons, named Krishna's Butterball. The way the boulder is perched makes it look as though it rolled down the hill and somehow stopped right before plunging all the way down. Gravity hasn't been able to move it, and neither has the shoves of tourists who try to get it to roll further down. It is thought that the boulder is a glacier erratic, but it is unknown why it stopped where it did. According to Hindu mythology, however, the great god Krishna was extremely fond of eating butter when he was just an infant, and because of this, the boulder has an orangey tint. It is believed by some that it is in fact a dollop of butter dropped by Krishna, hence the name Krishna's Butterball. Number 4. Shrieks of Forest Grove. In 2016, a shrill shrieking sound in Forest Grove started keeping people up at night and causing dogs to bark incessantly. Residents described the sound as car brakes screeching, a siren going off, and even banshee howling into the wind. Some recorded the sounds to replay later, trying to figure out what may cause it. Theories range from a leak in a pipeline, a fire alarm, or even a train screeching to a halt. None of these theories panned out. The noise continued and was heard at several locations in Forest Grove. A physics professor at the local university tried to track down the source of the sound by pinning all the locations on Google Map of the area. There was no pattern, however, and the mystery remained. Residents started getting freaked out, and theories started including ghosts, Bigfoot, aliens, and more. The story circulated on the news channels, and sound continued. Then one night the sound was noticeably absent, and it never returned. It remains unknown what caused the high-pitched noise and why it ceased just as abruptly as it started. Number 3. Titanic Poisoning. On the last day of filming the movie Titanic in Nova Scotia, James Cameron suddenly felt inexplicably ill and disoriented. When he started vomiting, he realized something was very wrong. Once he got back to the set, He found he wasn't the only one feeling strange, as some of the cast and crew were vomiting and crying, and even some laughing. At Dartmouth General Hospital, things took an even weirder turn when a crew member stabbed Cameron in the face with a pen, while others started stealing unoccupied wheelchairs and wheeling themselves up and down the hospital corridors. Cameron, who was bleeding from the pen stab wound, couldn't stop laughing. Once the hospital staff ruled out food poisoning, they realized the chowder consumed by more than 60 people on set had been laced with PCP. Theories abounded, one of which had it that a dismissed crew member tried to take revenge by poisoning the food. Officially, the mystery remains long after the case was closed in 1999 due to a lack of suspects. Now get ready for today's best pick. The weirdest mystery to us? Number 2. Miniature coffins. In 1836, a group of boys set off for Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh, Scotland to hunt rabbits. Intrigued by a concealed cave, the boys decided to peek inside. After pulling away the stones covering the entrance, they stumbled upon 17 miniature coffins, each with a wooden doll inside. The dolls had big eyes and were dressed in cotton clothing. When the discovery was reported in the Scotsman newspaper, the article mentioned that the coffins were decorated with funeral trappings, and it seemed like they'd been placed inside the cave recently. As it was always with the case of unexplained discoveries, multiple theories were presented to try and explain these coffins. Some people thought it may have been children playing a trick, while others mused that witches might have been using the coffins for rituals. Yet another theory said that the coffins may have been part of an ancient custom to give sailors who died at sea a Christian burial. A dark theory suggested that the coffins may have been set up as a tribute to killers William Burke and William Hare, who murdered 17 people. The true purpose of the coffins and who placed them in the cave remains a mystery. Number 1. Cecil Grace. Cecil Grace was an aviator who decided to enter a flying competition in 1910, the prize being £2,000 to the first Englishman who could successfully fly over the English Channel and the furthest into Europe. On the 22nd of December 1910, the competition was on and Cecil flew from Swingate Downs to Calais in France. Unfortunately, this was not far enough to win, so he turned back to England to start over. It should have taken around 40 minutes. However, by mid-afternoon, Cecil's plane was nowhere to be seen. Cecil never returned. On the 6th of January 1911, a pair of aviator goggles and a cap washed up on Belgium beach. A couple of weeks later, a body washed up as well. The body was never identified due to its advanced state of decomposition, but Cecil's friends had serious doubts whether it was the aviator's remains or not. Even after Cecil was officially declared dead, his closest friends refused to believe that the remains of those were the fellow pilot. Considering that the last sighting of Cecil's plane was near Kent, they believed it was too far from the Belgian beach for the remains to have been Cecil. To date, Cecil's plane has never been found. What exactly happened to the pilot remains a mystery. Thank you so much for watching today's video. We hope that you enjoyed it, and please stay tuned for some more great content.